Alright, started. Let's get this started. Basic Monday as usual. Going to be doing push-ups, squats, ab works, whether that be lunges or crunches, and then the fourth auxiliary or ancillary muscle. I got to look up that word. One of them just means like a side thing. Anyway, everything with a weighted backpack, of course. You don't have to do it with a weighted backpack. Just build up to your exercises slowly. This week I'm up to 25 kilos in my weighted backpack. See how we go. I've been jumping incrementally by 5 kilos each week, which tends to be quite a lot week by week, but obviously I've been pushing myself hard enough to find out what my limits are. So we'll get there slowly. We'll get there slowly. Ten. I need to find the limits, the weight limit of these bags. They're gonna drop right through the bottom. I'd be a good bag tester at least. Probably do just a bit of a warm-up set first before I put the bag on. I noticed when I was doing pull-ups last week, it was but a little harsh on the back of my left shoulder, but after a little bit of a warm-up, all good afterwards. But yeah, gonna get started. As always, ask questions. Always love to answer questions. Chill, or whatever.
Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday afternoon or Friday morning or whatever it is. There's a lot of news to talk about, so let's just jump into it. Get ready to work or get the fuck out. Right? That's not just what I yell at my children as they make your beautiful bastard hoodies for this next drop in my basement. It's also what Elon Musk just told Twitter, writing in a midnight email to the company's employees that Twitter is shifting to an engineer-driven operation, which, quote, will need to be extremely hardcore going forward. This will mean working long hours at high intensity. Only exceptional performance will constitute a passing grade. And adding that they have until Thursday, today, to make a decision on whether or not they want to stay. The source is also telling the Washington Post that members of Twitter's trust and safety team who keep hate speech and misinformation
I guess a little save the day for 1st of January.
If that happens, could throw content moderation into chaos. Calling Twitter the Wild West would be a massive understatement. I think there is a genuine question of who's going to be at this company in a month. He laid off half the 7,500 workers when he got there. All this coming just after he tabled the $8 blue checkmark feature, tweeting that it won't relaunch until November 29th. Which also, regarding those $8 subscriptions, reportedly not getting them anywhere near the money that they need. And all this happening at a time where many big advertisers seem to be getting scared away. That including General Motors, Volkswagen, General Mills, Eli Lilly, Balenciaga. There was already concern, but the whole Perry account debacle made things so much worse. There's been a review of Twitter data trying to find out who is subscribing to Blue Verify, and finding a decent chunk of the accounts were promoting right-wing politics, cryptocurrency speculation, and adult content such as pornography. So that's why many see what Musk's doing here as him desperately dumping buckets of water off the ship for a company that some analysts say that he bought for double what it was actually worth. And all this is Twitter is expected to owe roughly $1 billion in annual interest on top of recouping the investments of Musk's many equity partners. And so you take all of that and it makes it less shocking that yesterday Musk said that he plans to reduce his time at the company and eventually find a new leader who can take the helm. But those are just words, and we'll have to wait to see what the actions are. And then this FTX collapse is getting uglier and uglier. So earlier this week we talked about the failed crypto platform FTX. A lot of people have lost their ass on this. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars at play. And so now among the things that we're seeing, you have investors suing the platform for $11 billion in damages. They're also more specifically suing its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, and there's also a list of names, with a lawsuit also coming for the throats of all the celebrities that endorsed FTX, including Tom Brady, Steph Curry, Naomi Osaka, Larry David, and the list goes on. And the suit claiming that they engaged in a conspiracy to defraud investors and violated Florida state laws requiring securities to be registered and prohibiting unfair business practices. And adding that the fraudulent scheme was designed to take advantage of unsophisticated investors from across the country who utilize mobile apps to make their investments. And very pointedly saying that FTX's entire existence is a Ponzi scheme. Also singling out FTX is not an expert campaign where we saw people like Curry say this in ads. Quote, I'm not an expert and I don't need to be. With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely. Also, another major point of this story being that Alameda Research, a sister company and trading fund started by FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried and run by Caroline Ellison, was secretly borrowing customer funds from FTX and gambling them away through risky investments. Now here, Bankman-Fried denied knowing any of that was happening, instead saying he was essentially distracted before realizing it was too late. But for many, regardless of if that's true or not, it hardly makes this any less damning. Also, when I said the situation's getting worse and worse, it gets worse from here, because in an interview published yesterday, Bankman-Fried told a Vox reporter via Twitter DM things like, "Fuck regulators, they make everything worse. They don't protect customers at all." Which, hey, wouldn't be the weirdest thing a crypto bro has ever said, except Bankman-Fried is one, reportedly under investigation by the SEC and DOJ alongside FTX, really regulators, and two, before FTX collapsed, this motherfucker was very actively engaged in lobbying for a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency. But in this new DM exchange, he fully admits those efforts were just PR, though he does later say that consumer protection is a good thing, he just doesn't think regulators can deliver it. Also, the more I look at the story, the more I think there cannot be a lawyer who is advising this person right now. Because it does feel like if there was a competent lawyer anywhere in his vicinity, they would tell him to shut the fuck up. Because in that same exchange, he admits to a lot of things, like his talk around ethics in the past was just, quote, dumb shit I said, that, quote, it's not true, not really, and agreeing that it was mostly a front, with him adding that the talk around ethics is this, quote, dumb game we woke Westerners play where we say all the right shibboleths and so everyone likes us. With his final big takeaway being, I fucked up big multiple times, and saying that his biggest fuck up was filing for bankruptcy, though also noting that he has 2 weeks to raise $8 billion for FTX account holders, though there, the Vox reporter saying, and I agree, I have no idea how anyone can possibly pull that off from this starting point. But also, switching gears back to the celebrity aspect of this, I do wonder if all of this is going to affect celebrity endorsements, right? Because it is not out of the question at this point that at least some of these celebrities are going to be held partially liable. And we're already seeing things like last month, Kim Kardashian agreeing to pay $1.26 million after the SEC charged her for failing to disclose that she had been paid to promote Ethereum Max tokens. So they're also having to agree to not promote any other crypto securities for the next 3 years. And I also mention that because that's something that one of the investors directly cited in his filing for the FTX suit. And that's a key thing because, I mean, how many times over the last 2 years have we talked about celebrities and influencers promoting shitcoins, right? Logan and Jake Paul, FaZe Clan, Tana Mojo, fucking Dobrix. The list is endless. So it's very possible that world and that pipeline is going to implode, or maybe it evolves. But as we wait to see what happens with this FTX clusterfuck, the question I want to pass off to you, yes, of course, I'd love to know your thoughts in general, but if you or someone you know has been affected by the FTX collapse, I'd love to hear from you. And then, OnlyFans recently decided to do the Belle Delphines of the world a favor, with them now reportedly partnering with e-commerce company Spring to allow their 3 million content creators to sell merch directly from their profile, right? Direct link to a storefront from their OnlyFans page. And for OnlyFans, this doesn't appear to be just like a cash grab, saying in fact, they will not be taking a cut from the merch sales. Right? The creator sets the price for the product, and whatever profit there is goes directly to them. Though here, I will say it is interesting. Usually, I feel like adult platforms are the ones that kind of pave the way. OnlyFans here kind of late to the e-commerce party. Or platforms like Meta, YouTube, and TikTok have slowly been expanding into the industry for years. I am also interested to see what kind of custom products, if any, they will do for these stars. Right, Belle Delphine, when she sold out a $30 a piece bath water, that's something that comes to mind. So very interesting move. It'll be interesting to see if it's widely adopted. Right, part of the reason OnlyFans is so profitable for the people that actually use it is that all the products are digital. So do you want people to like request a special thing for $40 to $100, and then other than the OnlyFans split, you get all of that money? Or do you want that person to spend $40 to $100, but you got to split your money with Spring first? Because while OnlyFans says they're not getting a cut of the money, you know, there's the cost of the product and there's the built-in added fee that Spring's putting on their products. Right, so the question is this additional income, or does it cannibalize your income because all of a sudden you're having to split more for another product? That's good. But separate from that, in a very biased way, I want to end this story. If you're a content creator and you're looking for a fantastic merch and or membership solution, you should go to fourthwall.com. There's a reason I ditched Spring, then Teespring, and several of their competitors back in the past. And in fact, I'm such a believer in Fourth Wall, I invested in the company. They have some easy turnkey things, or if you want to go way more custom, like there are solutions for everyone. And then I want to thank a fantastic sponsor of the PDS, Boxu. Boxu is my favorite Japanese snack box. They work with family businesses throughout Japan to send you a new theme of authentic treats every month. The first Boxu you'll receive is Seasons of Japan, curated by their snack experts to taste Japan's 4 seasons and what a year of Boxu would be like. And after that, you'll receive new themed boxes each month. Personally, I've been loving these edamame rice crackers. I gotta gift. You get to give someone you love a fun and unique food experience to order. And then, the monster who turned a Christmas parade into a living nightmare last year has finally been served justice. It was supposed to be a beautiful event for the community of Waukesha County, Wisconsin. You had dancers, marchers, floats celebrating the holidays. But then out of nowhere, an SUV swings onto Main Street and it topples barriers and plows through crowds of people. And that driver was 40-year-old Daryl Brooks, who had a long criminal history, including actually running over the mother of his child just weeks before, as well as resisting or obstructing an officer, bail jumping, recklessly endangering endangering safety, disorderly conduct, and battery, which is part of the reason so many people are saying, how the hell is this guy out with the public? And it turned out he was out on $1,000 bail, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. But he was out, and he ended up killing 6 and injuring dozens more here, then fleeing the scene, but soon being arrested. With all of that leading to his trial last month, where he represented himself, pled not guilty, and then was convicted on all 76 counts, including 6 for first-degree intentional homicide, which carry mandatory life sentences. But also, all of this wasn't as simple as it sounds, because Brooks is a sovereign citizen. Just in case you've never been down this rabbit hole, sovereign citizens are people who believe that the government is illegitimate, saying that it was taken over by a shadowy cabal in the 19th century and turned into a corporation that enslaves people with financial contracts, with estimates putting their numbers in the hundreds of thousands. And while their specific beliefs vary sometimes, they're also anti-Semitic, the point is that they don't think that the laws apply to them. So unsurprisingly, when you put someone that deluded into a courtroom, you get a circus. And that's exactly what happened, with Brooks constantly disrupting testimony, pounding his fists on the table, staring menacingly at the judge, rolling his eyes as the victim spoke, and ranting about his rights being violated. I could show you all of that, and you'd be fucking blown away by all the video if you haven't seen it already, but that's not why I'm covering this story. Fuck that monster. This motherfucker was trying to perform. I only want to talk about your fucking curtain call, and actually using that to provide a platform for your victims. Because this week, they gave their impact statements during sentencing, and it was absolutely crushing. Though even that couldn't just happen. You saw the entire courtroom being evacuated after police alerted that someone had made a threat, but when the building was secured, the proceedings resumed. That was when you saw the grief and the rage flood the room, with Jessica Gonzalez, who was at the parade, describing the carnage.
Then the gasps and screams came from everywhere, and the red SUV sped past us. I yelled, "Stop," and put my hands out like I had the power to make it happen.
She describes running to find her son, seeing the body of his 8-year-old friend Jackson Sparks was killed that day, right there on the ground.
Seeing Jackson on the ground, I began looking for my son amongst the rest of the bodies. I screamed hysterically, searching frantically. What ifs filled my head. I heard Mom from so many directions, but it wasn't him.
And while she's fortunate enough to find her son unharmed, she says they were deeply traumatized by the experience and felt survivor's guilt. You also had this heart-wrenching speech from Sherry Sparks, Jackson's mother.
I wish I would have known then that the hug he gave me before I went to sit down was the last hug I would ever get from him. I would have held on to him a lot longer.
She describes seeing a police officer carrying Jackson to get medical attention, finding her other son Tucker lying half-conscious among the bodies, saying both boys went to the ICU with severe head and brain injuries.
The next day, Tucker asked us about Jackson, if he was okay, or was he worse than himself. Do you have any idea how gut-wrenching it is to have to explain your 12-year-old son that his little brother isn't going to make it? His injuries are too extensive for his little body to come back from. And then he won't be coming home with us ever.
Also,
he was
if I
robbed
give
of
more
everything.
excuses.
You'll never get to hit on the run, catch
These
frogs
are shorts
with
that I
his
have.
brother again.
Have more
He is
freedom of
wrestling
movement.
hero Braun Strowman.
Well, these ones.
He won't ask a girl
They've
to
all I
prom.
got.
He won't go to
I
college.
had to do laundry
Get
today.
married or have children
Again,
of his own.
We
big
then heard
weekend.
from Alicia Kulik, daughter of Jane Kulik, who talks about arriving at the hospital after finding out her mom had been struck.
I'll never forget the things I saw that day. I will never forget the chaos of parents searching for their children, demanding answers as we were for my mom. I specifically remember seeing the extreme dancers with gashes in their head and cuts all over their body and blood all over their clothes. In one direction, I saw one girl, probably no older than 10, seizing in her wheelchair, and the mother just screaming, not knowing what to do for her precious child.
Describing how she waited there with her dad and her sister until a doctor finally sat them down and informed them that her mom had died, saying she still hasn't been able to process what happened and that every holiday since hasn't been the same without her.
Oftentimes when I hear sirens, I'm scared. I'm scared that another family has to go through what I went through.
And adding the painful fact that even though she's glad the jury convicted Brooks, it can never bring her mom back.
She will not ever make me another dinner. She will not ever attend my wedding. And I'll never get to hear her voice or hug her again. So really, it changes nothing for me.
And her sister Taylor Kulik also adding her pain to the courtroom.
Mom and I were super tight. I could talk to her about anything in the world. I'm missing those text messages. I miss hearing her voice on the phone and receiving her adorable voicemails.
Others directing their anger at Brooks himself, like the son of Lee Owen, who was killed in the parade.
And you have the audacity to tell this court that your conscience is clear. I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks. There's not a human with a soul on this planet who could snuff that light out, who could steal Lee Owen from this world and have a clear conscience.
Meanwhile, you have fuckface Brooks doing his whole charade, interrupting the judge and others, leading to this moment from someone in the courtroom.
All the time.
Piece of shit. Listen up and listen what she has to say.
All right.
God damn.
But despite that, he just keeps arguing with the judge, who eventually has enough and just kicks him out of the courtroom. And hey, to quote that guy, hopefully this is going to be the last time we ever see this worthless piece of shit. Though his family gave their own statement saying that he's mentally ill and pleading for the victim's forgiveness. But ultimately, the judge handed down 762 years behind bars and 6 life sentences, saying that he shows no remorse, no empathy, and that nobody's safe from him.
Some people, unfortunately, choose a path of evil.
Oh.
And I think, Mr. Brooks, you are one of those persons.
So enjoy your hold, Daryl. The only thing you provided to this world was pain. And now I hope you fester in your own until the day you die. And then, now language is important. Or as others might say, muy importante, molto importante, or hijo ni Julio. Personally, I've been rocking through Spanish over the past year. I absolutely love it. It's always bothered me how bad I sucked at Spanish classes back in high school, but I've come to realize, like, it was the way that it was being taught. But now, thanks to Rocket Languages, and for you, more specifically, BillSpeakSpanish.com, I actually feel like I get it. Like, I'm on a strong path, and it's because, hey, if you're a visual learner, boom, they got you covered. Oh no, you're an auditory learner? Doesn't matter. At BillSpeakSpanish.com, you will learn the best way you know how to learn. And it's built so you can squeeze it into your day, whether it's just 5 minutes or 45, whether you're doing it on your computer or your phone. And also, not only are they a sponsor, and not only have we teamed up with them at BillSpeakSpanish.com, if you go and type in Bill Speaks, insert any of these languages, right? Mandarin Chinese, German, French, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, Japanese, Korean, Italian, sign language, and more, .com, you can kickstart your new learning adventure. And even better, when you start a trial version of the course, that is yours forever without even entering in a credit card. But also, if you sign up using my link, you'll get 60% off. So get in on it now, open a new world for yourself, or, I mean, holidays are around the corner. Could be a great gift. And then, people are getting too high on laughing gas in the Netherlands. There's a nitrous oxide, or laughing gas, has become a very popular party drug in Europe. And, of course, as things get more popular, people take it to a different level. In fact, some have taken it so far that they're now banning the distribution, sale, or possession of nitrous oxide in the Netherlands in January, with the Dutch Secretary of Health saying the recreational use of nitrous oxide leads to enormous health risks. In addition, the safety of non-users is also at stake. We have seen enough reports in the news that terrible accidents have happened due to road users using laughing gas. With that, referencing the nearly 1,800 car accidents that nitrous oxide has allegedly been involved in. With that number notably including over 60 fatal collisions. Now, here's the deal. People have been getting high like this for years. But then it was made so much easier to do so in 2017 with the emergence of cheap 2,000-gram tanks of nitrous oxide. And in the 2 years following their appearance, the Dutch Neurologists Association found that 64 people with an average age of 22 have been treated for partial spinal cord injuries due to laughing gas abuse. And of course, that's in addition to other neurological symptoms, including paralysis, that have been reported. When I say that people have been taking it to a different level, there was this one extreme case where a man went through 8 of these 2,000-gram tanks in one day by himself. Also, and I feel like it's necessary, or at the very least helpful with stories like this, where the main point is, hey, y'all, drugs are bad. When I was a much younger man, I fucked with some nitrous oxide, primarily whippets. It genuinely made me the dumbest fucking thing you will ever do in your life. I don't regret much in my life. I regret that. Like, just in general, but also return on investment wise. Like, you're doing so much fucking damage to yourself for the quickest high in the world. So leave nitrous oxide for the legitimate uses, or being used by hospitals and dentists as an anesthetic and a sedative and catering for whipped cream, which also I think that is going to make it harder for the Dutch government, where they're still going to need to facilitate sales of laughing gas for its correct purposes while blocking the personal use. And that, I think realistically, is not going to be an easy thing to do. And then, so it's official. Republicans have taken control of the House. More than a week after Election Day, and the party just barely secured the chamber. But, as the New York Times put it, Republicans managed to make their victory in the House seem like a loss by underperforming so badly. This is not at all the margin they expected or hoped for. This is
I listen to the guy for World News. He gets onto US news. I'm not too interested in. Apologies for anyone that's from the US.
Well, bastards, welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. This is an extra special community show for you today. So what we do on Sundays, we dive into your thoughts and reactions to the biggest stories that matter most to y'all this week, as well as talk about some of the news that got overlooked. Also, gotta say this is the top because I'm so excited. The final Beautiful Bastard drop of the year is launching tomorrow. Consider it your early bird, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas drop. And it includes goodness like what I'm wearing right here. Mineral wash over the pocket, all over print. As well as all this goodness. The one day we'll all be skeletons. We brought the sports gear back and more. watercolors for the first time in years, some zombie Santa goodness, some basic emotionally exhausted stuff, and finally, but fantastically, these dope-ass notebooks which are like Moleskines but not the Moleskine price, and the best damn candles we have ever launched. I used to have candles 3 years ago. I said I will never sell a candle again until we get the smells and the throws and everything perfect. We finally got it, and I'm ready to move on to my real true goal in life, moving on from news commentator to high-end candle entrepreneur. So if you're timely and it's still Sunday, go text me at 813-213-4423 to be the first person that knows when this store goes live. Or if you wait and it's now Monday or later, go to beautifulbastard.com right now. Because it's the Christmas drop, a lot of things are going to have limited quantities because I want to make sure you get this shit before Christmas. Yeah, get some awesome and comfortable stuff, and hey, yeah, it supports the show as well. But with that said, let's all take a quick look back at the week we all just lived through with some help from our frustrated recap correspondent, Zed Tabani.
Even Fox News at one point got bored and cut away for more than 10 minutes.
They were up for about a year. Remember I said to Angela, remember Angela? Do you remember Angela? Nobody's remembering her. Angela,
just joining us, President Trump and Mar-a-Lago announcing.
Check it. Hey, ain't nobody fucking with it. I swear everybody on us probably hit the limit. You ain't giving up the
Starting with the debate around Mr. Beast passing PewDiePie as the #1 individual YouTuber on the platform, with people like Bridget saying, considering PewDiePie is actually one guy and an editor, I don't know if it's fair for Mr. Beast, who has 100 plus employees, to count as an individual creator. So as that conversation and debate continued, you had people like Dave pointing out, Pewds has an editor, so if you're going to take it to that level, a lot of YouTubers aren't solo acts, and is in fact almost impossible to maintain a full-time YouTube schedule without one. Which I will say, yeah, I do see both points. I get that it all makes sense, but I think the conversation around like an individual creator, we're talking about the difference between PewDiePie and T-Series or Mr. Beast and T-Series. There's an individual creator at the forefront of the channel. Or, I mean, a lot of people look at me as an individual YouTuber, but I have a whole fucking team. I didn't always have a team, and I've had to do every single job. But the only way for me to keep up with my schedule, to make the content bigger and better, and also just not completely burn out, is to have and train up the team. Also, I will say to any creator on the come up, start building a team around you as soon as possible. There are creators out there that, like, if you try to replace them at a part of the process, it's going to be a completely different product. Casey Neistat, I think, is a fantastic example. As good as he is a shooter, he's an even better editor. But also, since he stopped doing daily vlogs way back in the day, he's been very open about how, like, that schedule ruined his life at the time. So I would still actually advise you, like, bring in an editor and try and train them to mimic your style. Because remember, if you want this to actually be a career, this is a marathon, not a sprint. There's a reason I used to talk about, like, wanting to quit every 6 months, years and years ago, and that's really not the case now. And I also think that's life advice for everyone in general. Think about your well-being first. But I'd also like to continue the conversation around this whole topic, so any and all thoughts you have on this, or really anything I talk about, let me know in those comments below. Then we talked about Iran's decision to start executing protesters to send a message, and nearly everybody was understandably horrified with takes like the death sentence or even prison sentences for protesters in Iran is horrifying. Protest should be a protected right everywhere. Some even asking if we've considered reaching out to any of the creators that have been speaking about the topic and have ties there that may be able to offer more info, to which I would say we're definitely not opposed to that. It's just about finding good, reliable creators. So if there are any specific recommendations or people that can put us in connect, would love that. Also, the news that Colorado legalized psilocybin got a lot of attention from y'all, with most of you happy about the psychedelic renaissance. Although, one of you pointed out, I think rightfully so, that I oversimplified the Arkansas situation. I called them a narc because it amused me. But looking a little deeper at it, you actually had a lot of pro-marijuana people upset that, quote, it was written by the companies that are currently growing and would have caused more problems than solved. Right? It would have allowed places already growing medical marijuana to have up to 2 businesses while only giving away 40 other licenses for retail sales in a lottery system. So to give the old guard a huge advantage. But then even there you had people debating, with a number of people saying, you know, I could see being put off by that, but at the same time arguing, doesn't the benefits of this legalization outweigh having to do it all over again? Which, I mean, is an interesting debate, and there are a lot of good points being made. And then on Tuesday we saw a lot of people very upset that Lav Loon would weaponize sexual assault allegations against Hassan Piker, with comments like, saying someone was like 17 when knowing they were 19 at the time is ridiculous. What a way to weaponize SA. There's a big difference between a 24-year-old sleeping with a 19-year-old versus a 17-year-old, yet she chose to use that language on purpose because she knew how it would sound. As well as Hassan is 100% right. When people lie about crimes, especially SR or SA, it makes real survivors have a tougher time coming forward. Do everyone a favor and be honest. Clout isn't worth making other people suffer in silence because, quote, she must be lying too. But by far the thing that dominated the comments on Tuesday was the academic strike. Plenty of y'all sharing your experiences, people talking about living as a poor grad student, talking about how sometimes there was just no way to win. Right, Topher, for example, talked about how his $20K a year was clearly nothing and tried to find cheap housing, saying eventually he did, but it ended up being government housing, which he couldn't even apply to because it wasn't for students. That forcing him to hide a tutoring job and working at Taco Bell on top of his 50+ hour lab work weeks and classes, and saying, as a result, I ended up leaving early with a master's just to get a job that could pay the bills when my credit cards filled up after my car broke down. But the biggest takeaway from him being that unless you're pretty well off, being a grad student is nearly impossible. And the general feeling was that it's just a lose-lose. With the likes of Tony pointing out that if you combine the poor wages with the fact that graduate housing provided by the university specifically for graduate students increased their prices this year by up to 50% in some places, and it all becomes a giant joke. And really, housing seemed to be the biggest immediate concern for many grad students. Which, yeah, makes sense because you fucking need a place to live. Right? It doesn't take a grad student to see how messed up things can be, especially if you're going to a school in an expensive area. Violet, for example, is an undergrad at UCSB, and she highlighted how it's insane how much work they do and how little they get for it, especially since cost of living around UCs, especially Santa Barbara, is sky high. People were sharing just how big these protests were. Writing, as an undergrad at a UC school, it's insane the scope of the protests. All of my classes got moved online either due to literally being taught by grad students because the school doesn't hire enough professors and make grad students teach, or in solidarity. And yet Hillary, getting straight to the point. Please pay grad assistants decent wages, make them feel like going back to school was worth it. And then, the stock market's been a major focus of the news recently, and it can definitely feel incredibly hard to navigate on your own, which is why it's a great time to mention a fantastic sponsor of the PDS, Public.com/DeFranco. Public is the only investing platform that allows you to invest in stocks, ETFs, crypto, and now alternative assets like fine art and collectibles. It's all in one place. Thousands of stocks and ETFs, over 30 cryptos, and 25 alts with more coming soon. And in addition to being an all-in-one platform, Public gives you all the information and metrics that matter for the assets that you care about. You can browse the latest news related to an asset, share ideas with other like-minded investors, or even listen to Public live shows that feature conversations with experts and experienced investors across different asset places. Plus, Public always puts investors first and doesn't sell trades to market makers or take money from payment for order flow. And for a limited time, when you sign up at Public.com/DeFranco, you'll get up to $10,000 when you transfer your account from another brokerage. Just see additional terms and conditions by following the link in the description. And then, on Wednesday, a lot of the comments were just giving Chris some love. Not much can catch me off guard, so I think people were just impressed. Also, for the record, Chris is a real person. I wasn't doing that for the bit. The only time it's a bit is when I say, like, Greg. I don't know a Greg anymore, or at least I hope I don't, because otherwise I just offended them. But in addition to that, easily the biggest conversation happening on Wednesday were about those leeches over at Ticketmaster. With some of y'all pointing out that Taylor Swift apparently used to have a system for giving out tickets to actual fans in writing. She had an incredible ticket system for her Reputation tour, where people were separated into different times over multiple days to buy their tickets, and you could be boosted to earlier time slots by doing things like watching music videos and buying merch. We also saw takes like Ticketmaster, StubHub, etc. have killed the concert vibes. I used to love going to concerts, but not anymore. It's so frustrating. They always crash the site, 2-hour-long queues, and cause price spikes that make me just say no thanks. Well, obviously there's a massive spotlight on this. The issue isn't just with Taylor Swift shows. With one of y'all talking about how scalpers absolutely destroyed the LCS Worlds in Los Angeles a few months ago. Tickets went on sale and were almost immediately sold out, and then immediately being put back up for 2 times and even 5 times the price. I know it's not as big as a Taylor Swift concert, but you have to remember this year we had Lil Nas X playing at Worlds. And Ticketmaster needs to fix the scalper issue that happens every single time.
Okay. Anytime it's okay to screw up in your technique when either you're finishing up a set or the last few reps, as evident by my squats right now. But if you have to cheat all the way through from the beginning, then the weight or the intensity or the volume is too much for you. Bring it back.
If they're going to keep this monopoly behind the curtain. And overall, it seemed like a lot of you buy into the not so far-fetched idea that Ticketmaster actually wants this system to be the way it is. With Aisha mentioning, what are the odds that out of 5 shows with multiple of my friends trying to purchase pre-sale codes and early queue entry, nobody is successful? Also, how is it at the very start of the sale there are already resale tickets? Yes, resale, not the platinum dynamic pricing ones. Wasn't everyone supposed to go in at the same time? But also, regarding that, there was big breaking news on Friday, which, quick little peek behind the curtain, I filmed these on Friday, not Sunday. Oh my gosh, that's how he gets them up at 10 a.m. But the DOJ reportedly opened up an antitrust investigation into Live Nation, or Ticketmaster's parent company. And while yes, it is very tempting to say that angry Swift fans led to this, reportedly the investigation predates this whole fucking mess. And if anything, it's arguably more surprising that it took this long, because people have hated and been vocal about their hate towards Live Nation and accused it of being shit for years now. And then Thursday was a gut-wrencher, with a lot of y'all just feeling heartbreak for these families who lost so much because this fuckface who drove his car through a Christmas parade. Writing, I was already crying when the witness statement started, as it reminded me of my own grief of a similar situation. And that testimony is absolutely heartbreaking. Very hard to watch, but I'm glad they had the chance to share their stories. As well as those victim statements made me cry just uncontrollable. I can't imagine the pain those families feel, and I can't imagine that happening to someone I love. What an evil, evil, disgusting human to do that. And I will say, with it being hard to navigate stories like this, because you want to talk about it, but not do it in the wrong way, I did appreciate the sentiments that a lot of you shared. Writing, your approach to covering and highlighting the victims of the parade and not highlighting the perpetrator really opened my eyes to how stupid it is that other other news media does this differently. I will say that there was a thing here. I did see comments from people like MG and Ashley who said, Bill going from the victim statement directly into an ad was such major whiplash. I was sobbing while like, I should learn another language? And the transition from the sentencing story to the ad gave me emotional whiplash. Which I will say, those comments also give me an appreciation for the fact that we are now doing this Sunday show. Like, those are great notes and critiques. They also allowed me to respond and maybe give like some kind of background. The way that I shoot the show, it is in no specific order. What happened on Thursday was a miscommunication. We usually split our watchdowns into Watchdown 1, Watchdown 2. My brain goes, Watchdown 2 is the final watchdown. But when we make these extra large shows like we did on Thursday, the final watchdown is actually Watchdown 3. When I gave instructions on order, we were on different pages. Because the goal with stories like that is usually it's the final thing that we talk about and it doesn't have to lead into me trying to pitch you a product. But then, finally for Thursday, one of the things that really took over the conversation was Twitter. And honestly, like everything surrounding Elon, the views were all over the place. Some were out there giving props to Elon for changing things up on Twitter, while those on the other side criticized his management style with, Elon, work for me harder, you minions. Also, Elon, I'm not going to be working at Twitter as much, finding someone else to do it. But there was also a lot of takes about what a Twitter shutdown could actually mean. Writing, if Twitter gets shut down, we're looking at a massive history being lost. So much shit has happened the last few years, and a lot of personal experiences of all these events has been shared on Twitter. And actually, on Friday, we saw some news connected to this. You have people saying we may be actually about to witness the end of Twitter, with Twitter employees resigning en masse on Thursday, putting the platform's very ability to function in jeopardy. And a key thing, this happening after Elon Musk sent the company an ultimatum. Either commit to a new, extremely hardcore workplace with long hours and high intensity, or quit with 3 months severance. Now, as of recording, as far as how many people have actually quit, it wasn't exactly clear. And honestly, while you're watching this, we may know more because I'm recording this on Friday. But one, I'll update this story in the main PDS tomorrow. And two, you had sources telling multiple outlets they believe the number is in the hundreds, with then others estimating that roughly 75% of the 3,700 employees took the severance package, as well as one former employee saying they expected less than 2,000 people to remain when the dust settled. And to be clear, it's being said that these aren't just expendable or unessential workers. Reports currently saying half the trust and safety policy team are now gone, including a majority of those who work on spotting misinformation, spam, fake accounts, and impersonation, as well as the entire team running the service that powers and stores all information and user profiles across the site just dipping, according to a recent department head. Plus, more sources telling the Washington Post that the number of engineers tending to multiple critical systems had been reduced to 2, 1, or even 0, with another adding that management appear to be concerned about the departures and are scrambling to convince talent to stay. To that end, you had Musk and his advisors reportedly holding meetings with some workers they deemed critical to convince them to stay, with Musk even appearing to backtrack on his return to office policy from last week, sending out an email saying, regarding remote work, all that is required for approval is that your manager takes responsibility for ensuring that you are making an excellent contribution, and adding that workers would be expected to attend in-person meetings no less than once a month. Employees were also told that Twitter's offices would be closed until Monday with no reason given. So the same thing happened when Musk laid off around half the workforce earlier this month, and that was reportedly to keep outgoing workers from sabotaging the company on their way out the door. But then, despite all that, you had Musk sending an email to software engineers globally ordering them to report to Twitter headquarters in San Francisco that afternoon, even telling those not present to fly there. And adding, before doing so, please email me a bullet point summary of what your code commits have achieved in the past 6 months, along with up to 10 screenshots of the most salient lines of code. Meanwhile, on Twitter itself, it looked like everyone was prepping for the end of the world Thursday night, with some downloading their entire profiles, others saying their goodbyes and making final posts, many even confessing their long-held secrets as if it was like their last chance before dying, which would have been just completely funny if also not for the sad note that you also saw a good amount of people posting last-minute pleas for donations to their GoFundMes, often for medical expenses. While rest in peace, Twitter trended to the #1 spot, there were a bunch of memes. There were also genuine concerns with all this chaos, like, is Twitter going to survive? Especially at a time where you're not hearing much from the company. But that's probably in some degree connected to them eliminating most of its public relations team. You also had people jumping ship to other platforms like Facebook, Discord. A lot of people have been talking about Mastodon, to which I'll say, unless Mastodon drastically changes, no one's fucking actually gonna fully move over there in a month. Oh, your onboarding's confuser for the average person? Good luck. But also, at least publicly, Musk didn't appear concerned, with him tweeting, "We just hit another all-time high in Twitter usage, LOL." Also replying to a comment about the staffing, he said, "The best people are staying, so I'm not super worried." And all this happening at the same time where you had someone projecting words onto the Twitter HQ, calling Musk a worthless billionaire and a bankruptcy baby. But then finally today, let's talk about some of the overlooked stories this week, like the CFO of Tyson's Foods was arrested after he drunkenly broke into a stranger's home and slept in her bed. He was found by police and taken to jail in just his underwear, but that was after he refused to get dressed. And so the CFO is now charged with criminal trespass and public intoxication. Tyson Foods reportedly investigating the incident, and the man has apologized to investors. Not sure if that's the person who should be apologizing to, but okay. And then it's the end of the world, or it's just a weird thing, because these sheep in Mongolia have been walking in a circle for over 10 days straight, and no one knows why. Or despite many theories of aliens or the apocalypse, the reason for the sheep's behavior is actually most likely a contagious brain-melting disease. Although, key thing, reportedly most cases result in death within 48 hours after symptoms appear. So we still don't know, probably not aliens, but the fact that it's probably a mysterious mysterious zombie disease doesn't make me feel any better. And then, an Indiana deputy accidentally shot a high school student during a law enforcement class. The student was quickly taken to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. Thankfully, the bullet reportedly just grazed it, with the deputy who's been working with the department for nearly 20 years now being placed on administrative leave after the incident. And then, an Arizona teacher got fired for making OnlyFans content in her classroom. The teacher reported starting the page when her educator's salary couldn't cover basic necessities for her family, which was fine until the account was discovered by the administration and her classroom was quickly identified within the photo. She claimed she only used the classroom on weekends when no students were present. She said she resigned under pressure, and her husband, a teacher in another district and co-star in the Not Safe for Work content, was fired. And then President Biden is letting MBS off the hook. In 2018, the Saudi crown prince murdered Jamal Khashoggi, a US-based journalist. Then the Trump administration tried to look away, sweep it under the rug, despite the intelligence community releasing audio recordings showing that MBS without a doubt murdered Khashoggi. And now the Biden administration is saying that MBS should be shielded from lawsuits due to his high office. MBS should be in jail, Trump should be impeached, and fuck Joe Biden for letting Mohammed Bonesaw off. And then the Justice Department has appointed a special counsel to determine if Donald Trump should be charged in 2 investigations. The first being the insurrection, and the second being the classified documents investigation. The special counsel is a prosecutor from the International Criminal Court. It appears Trump rushed to announce his run for presidency after reports of an indictment began hitting the press earlier this month. And that is where a special Sunday show ends. Of course, if you have thoughts and reactions to the thoughts and reactions we just went through, leave comments down below. And for next week, get ready for 2 big shows. I'm aiming to make a big show on Monday and Tuesday. But then myself and the team were off for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Thanksgiving. I haven't seen my dad in like 3 years, so I'm gonna keep this time like just us. Do not focus on work, to know that your sacrifice of not getting filled in is helping a man in Florida. How thoughtful of you. Yeah, main thing, thanks for watching. Also, thanks for being a part of this weird little experiment we started over 15 years ago, and I'll see you tomorrow. After you definitely bought a bunch of shit from beautifulbastard.com. Always be plugging.
That I kind of chewed on it for a while. I ended up like it was kind of nagging at me, and I ended up
you guys don't know Steve, he's from Jackass.
Hey Tony, about that test.
A program that I grew up with.
What was your plan if you did have the gene?
I'd recognize it as my heroes growing up.
In the head.
Right. And that'll explain a few things.
Oh, well, I didn't have a plan.
Well, how can you have a plan after the fact?
Right, exactly. But so I'm like, I don't want to fucking go take that test. I don't want to know if I have that goddamn gene or not.
Well, if it's been this many years afterwards, you're not suffering, you probably don't have that gene.
I also went to, and now, of course, famously, the whole CTE phenomenon, you can't find out if you have it until you've died and they've,
I think they can tell now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think there's a new way that they can tell before you die, but it used to be that they had to wait and do an autopsy on you.
Right. Well, I went to some, brain specialist kind of guy.
Were you having problems?
No, I just went because I was interested. And Dr. Drew sent me to this guy. It was actually when I was I was trying to get cauliflower ear as part of my multimedia comedy. And I remember telling you too that I was like, I'm gonna do a crazy bit, and I tried to get cauliflower ear. And I remember you telling me that. You were like, nope, I don't support that. No, you said, I think that cauliflower ear is something that should be earned. And I remember thinking, oh, well, I became buddies with Chuck Liddell. And Chuck Liddell and I got together. We made the fucking funniest, craziest video, of him trying to get, I made this helmet that I designed this helmet that left my ears sticking out to protect my head from headshots a little bit, and my ears sticking out, and I got Chuck Liddell fucking sets a golf ball on my ear and fucking whacks it off with a golf ball.
2 sets, 4 sets to go.
Cauliflower ear?
Again, 125, 120
beats. We'd spent 2 days with Chuck trying to do it. And it just didn't work. Then I got together with Ronda Rousey and was on the mats with her, and she's her and Travis just roughing up my ear all day long.
Ew.
And they're looking at my ear. They're like, dude, we got it. That's it. We got it. And then it just went away. Then I got together with Jorge Masvidal.
Cauliflower ear is something that you get from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Or any groundwork stuff, grappling
BMF
stuff.
Belt
because of all
over my ear, and
trauma and friction you get from grappling around the ears.
Door. And,
not something you want.
He's like, dude, that's it.
It's almost like a badge of honor.
That's cauliflower. We got it.
Still no?
And then
if you got it legitimately,
with John
and
Jones.
you see people have cauliflower ear,
Dude, I had like the who's who.
You're such a glutton for punishment.
I had the who's who of the UFC Hall of Fame, like, give their best shot, and everybody said, dude, we got it. And then it didn't work. Dude, John Jones blasted my ear into oblivion.
Oh my god.
Like, with a... he took what at the time was his current light heavyweight belt. And
Steve-O's a miracle of science.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And he's hammering your ear?
Dude.
My God.
He so upsettingly overdid it that my ear got blasted apart.
And you still didn't get cauliflower. Dude. Oh, God, it's so bloody. Oh, my God, dude.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We're not putting that
Did you get that? You just chipped it off? You didn't get stitched up? Just cut that little piece off?
Just chopped it off.
Oh,
with
no.
scissors. Yeah.
So you have like the Evander Holyfield. Like when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear?
Right. Dude, that was an idea that I pitched for Jackass like multiple times. I was like, do I want like Mike Tyson to bite a chunk?
Oh no! Oh my God! You know he's selling gummies now of ears.
Yeah.
Selling weed gummies of ears.
Dude, Mike is so classic, dude.
He's the best.
I fucking love him.
I saw him at the fights. It's like when that guy gets a pop when they show him on the screen.
Oh, dude.
Everybody goes nuts.
How about fucking Patty the Batty?
Yeah, man.
Can you even believe?
Well, he's a character. You know, people get really attracted to characters. You know, like Molly McCann, same thing.
Yeah.
Like when...
More so when Patty the Batty kind of just showed up and exploded. Like, Molly exploded with him, I feel like.
Well, they trained together, yeah.
Right.
But, you know, also, she had some pretty spectacular performances, and she's a wild character. She gets fucking fired up and jumps around, and I talked to Dave Portnoy. He bet 10 grand on Molly McCann. I was like...
Oh, this last week.
Yeah, and he was like, what do you think about that bet? I was like, yeah. I'm like, listen, Molly's tough. Anything can happen, but Erin Blanchfield is a fucking assassin.
Yeah. That was a tough one to watch, man.
That girl's a straight-up killer.
You don't see it that... You never see it when both of a fighter's arms are absolutely fucking just out of the equation. You know, like
John Jones done that to people. That was Roy Nelson used to do that to people all the time. It was Big Country. That was his move. He'd get people in a crucifix. Look, a crucifix is a terrible position to be in. Have you ever been stuck there before?
By Holly Holm.
Oh, really? Oh, that's hilarious. You can't get out of it. It's so hard to get out of it. Like, you have to be elite to get out of that. There's a few techniques that you can do to get out of that. The key is you have to get an arm free. You must. You like, first of all, you have to really do your best to never let that arm get trapped like that. But if you're fighting a superior grappler and you get caught like that, and you saw... in a way, that's how Zhang Weili tapped out Carla Esparza. She started off with a crucifix. She started out with a crucifix on her back and then twisted to the rear naked choke. And got the choke from that position. It's a terrible position because legs are so much stronger. You know, like when your legs are trapping that arm's fucked, right? And then the head pins down and traps the other one. And then it's just head and fist and elbows in your face.
Yeah.
And you just get fucking noogied to death.
Dude, yeah, I was at Jackson Wink with Holly Holm, and she took my arms away from me and just showed me what she could do. Like,
oh Jesus,
she didn't do it, but she was just like, and then with the elbow.
Did that make you want to train? Did it make you want to learn how to not be in that situation? No, not at all. Nothing.
No.
If a girl did that to me, I'd be like so upset. I'd be like, I need to learn how to fight. Fuck this. That's so humiliating.
Yeah. I didn't see it that way. I felt like it was kind of an honor, you know.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I mean, she's a world champion.
Yeah, she's so rad.
She's a beast.
Such a wonderful person.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Yeah.
You would never imagine she's a fucking stone cold killer.
Right. Dude,
that head kick knockout of Ronda Rousey was like one of the greatest knockouts of all time. Like without a doubt.
Sure.
And to see it in Australia live. It was so fucking crazy. So here it is. She gets you. And she nice that she's pounded on the ground and not on your face. Yeah, it's a horrible place to be. Now imagine John Jones getting you in there.
Right.
You know, it's a bad spot, real bad spot. And Erin she's so good on the ground. And the way she explained it when I did the post-fight interview, how she explained how she went for the Kimura and then Molly got her arm free and then she trapped it again and then got the leg over the head. And then once she got the leg over the head, I was begging her to tap. I was like, please tap, please tap.
I heard that.
Please tap. Because if you don't tap, you get a spiral fracture. It's a horrible fracture. If you watch Frank Mir versus Minotauro Nogueira. Now, Minotauro Nogueira is a legend. I mean, he's one of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all time. He's the heavyweight champion of Pride. He was a fucking monster. And Frank Mir snapped his arm, and I don't even want to watch it again, man. It's horrible to watch. But he goes for a guillotine, and Frank gets on top of him. So here it is, like Frank's on the bottom here. Frank reverses him. Frank gets on top, and Frank gets him in a Kimura. And when he gets him in a Kimura, he breaks his arm. And the snap, I remember hearing the snap. It was so horrific. See, he's got it now. He's got it now. And now he's going to step over, and now he's in side control, and now he steps over with the leg. Now watch when he steps over with that right leg. Watch this. Now watch this right here. Snap. Oh.
Kimura.
Frank is so big and so strong that your arm has no chance. Your arm has Frank has broken 2 different world champions' arms inside the octagon. He broke Tim Sylvia's arm with an arm bar, and then he broke Minotauro's arm. And when that arm breaks like that, man, I don't think you're ever the same again. Snap, see that? That's it right there. So what happens is all the pressure is on this bone. And so it's like this going that way, and this bone from just the angle, it just snaps, and you get all the, like he's got a giant plate, and they have to piece your arm back together like a jigsaw puzzle and screw it all in place. And even then, like you're always going to have this bar in your arm, and there's probably nerve damage, tissue damage, and it's probably never going to be the same.
Right.
Fuck that. Tap. Just tap. Please tap.
Right.
The other time was Khabib when he had Michael Johnson. I was like, please tap. Please tap. Please tap.
Right.
And then Islam Makhachev, he had Dan Hooker. And again, I'm going, please tap. Please tap. You got to tap. Like, live to fight another day. There's times when you got to tap. And the Kimura is a big one. When the guy gets the leg over your face and he's just got that angle and he's cranking it like, oh, Jesus, just tap. Just tap.
I got another MMA question. Live odds at the beginning of round 2, round 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like they show the odds before the fight.
Yeah.
Like DC told me he thought that could be a good alternative to open scoring. If they just showed the live odds at the, I think as a fan, I would love to know like how the odds are. It's just uniform. Always have what
it
the
keeps my time
odds
optimal, just to make sure I'm not breaking for too long. That's one reason
not
why I use
bad.
the heart rate monitor.
I mean, it definitely encourages gambling, which I support. I think gambling's fun. You know, I support gambling like I support drinking. I get that some people can't drink, and I get that some people can't gamble. I do get. I've known a lot of people that were addicted to gambling, and it's a crazy addiction. Because did you ever see that Adam Sandler movie?
Yes, the Uncut Gems.
Amazing.
Unbelievably disturbing.
So good. And such a perfect representation of a gambling addict. They can't they need that fucking juice. They need it. They need that next bet. They need, come on. Yes! When they win, they go fucking crazy. I mean, it's a real problem for some people. Gambling they ruin everything in their life. It's a real problem for some people. But I support it because I feel like you need to have control over your life. And if you don't have control over your life, get control over your life. And if gambling is stopping you from having control of your life, don't make gambling illegal. Just you don't gamble.
I agree.
Get your life in order.
Yeah, like as an alcoholic drug addict, you know, I'm not mad at drugs and alcohol. I just can't have it.
Yeah. Do you think that you could, if you had a different life, could have enjoyed drinking and maybe a little drugs in moderation?
No,
you just have that personality.
I have it in my damn fucking pedigree, dude. I am thoroughbred. I'm on my mom's side of the family, it's every leaf on the tree.
Wow.
It didn't skip a generation at all. Like for my mom, it was like. It was like playing Russian roulette with a fucking completely loaded gun. Like there was.
Do you think that's nature or nurture? What do you think causes that?
I think that I think there's a genetic thing, but it's a little bit like how did the fire start? Mm-hmm. It's like, who fucking cares? Just address the fire.
Right. You know? Right, but I mean, is there cases where the whole family is addicted and there's one person that can have a drink with dinner and they're fine?
Yeah, there are, for sure. There's no certainty of it, and more often than not, it will skip generations, and it will not be everybody. Just in my case, it was fucking everybody, and gambling was a thing too. Like,
you gambled a lot?
No, but it's in my family.
Oh, like it's probably the same thing, right? It's like this obsession.
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy how like my dad's side of the family is just straight academics, theologians, zoologists, like just everybody's like PhD or like, you know, like clergy men, like all, you know, my dad's dad like fought in World War II and was like decorated, like, you know, and then there's my mom's side of the family. It's just addiction, gambling, suicide, like the whole deal. My mom's father dodged the draft.
Again,
he was in Canada, like dodged the draft for World War II and like got like fairly obnoxiously wealthy selling bootleg gasoline because they had they had like ration, you know, for the wartime. And so, like his bootleg gasoline operation, you know, you could buy as much gas as you wanted beyond the ration from my mom, my maternal grandfather, and he became like obnoxiously wealthy. Had like a boat, you know, like fucking walked around with a crazy wad of cash, and the fucking dude gambled it all away, and then when he was broke, fucking blew his brains out.
Oh, Jesus
like
Christ.
I don't know that I ever met that guy. Like I was you know, I was like a baby when that happened, but like it doesn't make any sense because with all the alcoholism that didn't deter me from becoming an alcoholic.
20 crunches.
I did manage to stay away.
Thank you very much, Sleepy.
Wow.
Always appreciate it.
100%.
I've placed the only time I bet in my adult life. I've still never placed a bet in a casino or anything like that.
Always thank you for the extra exercises.
When I did a brand deal on social media, I got paid to promote some
no problem.
Online gambling thing. That was when I showed up at the fight and I was like holding up all the cash, and I took the photo with you.
Yeah.
And that was when I bet on Poirier and
120 beats. Last set.
McGregor's legs.
And then your crunches.
Ah, wow.
Yeah,
so
that was my first ever bet. I ended up like betting like a couple times after that as part of the same deal, as part of like and I lost her.
And then
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, it's it definitely makes fights more exciting if you personally have money riding on it.
For sure.
But if you do have an obsessive thing, like I could see how it would transfer. For some people, it transfers to positive stuff. Like I know a lot of people that were drug addicts that became really fitness fanatics.
Sure.
You know, they start like my friend John Joseph. He started doing Ironman.
Love John Joseph.
He's great.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that. They become marathon runners or they you know, workout fiends.
Yeah.
And that's their new drug of choice.
Yep. Fucking for me, I think that I'm just obsessed about just doing shit, you know, just accomplishing shit.
Well, that's a good thing to transfer too. It's like, I think it's kind of the same gene, the gene that can, or whatever it is. I shouldn't say gene. It's the same thing in the mind that gets you obsessed with your next high or your next like wild thing. You could also transfer that to accomplishing personal goals and You know, fitness goals and just getting your life together, starting a business, being obsessed with the business. Like, you can do it in a positive way with that same mindset. And oftentimes you see that with fighters. Like, some of the best fighters, they had, like, real horrible bouts of alcoholism or drug abuse in their past.
Mark Kerr.
Yeah. Well, he had it while he was at the top.
Right.
It wasn't something that he got over. You know, he actually, it kind of took him down. And what was crazy about him is that while it was all happening, they were filming a documentary.
The Smashing Machine.
Which is really crazy because they didn't film that documentary with the intent of capturing this guy's life falling apart due to drug addiction.
100%. He was on top of the world. He was murdering everybody.
But a lot of guys get into painkillers. A lot of guys, and including bodybuilders and powerlifters. It's like they're in pain because of it's so, you know, you're lifting crazy amounts of weight and you're fucking up your back and fucking up your elbows and your shoulders.
About this
instead
topic
of dealing with it, you just take a pain pill.
If you're going to do something stupid,
and just keep powering
do
through.
it right.
They say Ronnie Coleman used to do that. You know, Ronnie Coleman, who was Mr. Olympia, who now has his whole back fused. His whole back, like every spinal, all the different vertebrae.
Well, my brother's advice
together.
would have been,
and he's fucked. Like, whoever did that. Like,
Daniel,
Jesus
I don't care
Christ.
what you do.
Like, there's different ways.
Just do it around good people.
Backs. You don't have to do that.
So how does he?
He's in real pain. He can't barely move around. He went down and got some stem cells, and he's got some improvement now. I think he went to BioAccelerator. Did you
I went
down
there.
Yeah, I think he went down there, and they helped him a bit. But you know, he's got a lot of nerve damage, and his legs don't work correctly anymore.
With all of your vertebrae fused together, you would imagine, like,
still working out though.
He can.
I mean, he's addicted to working out, but I mean, his whole back is like completely fused. But at one point in time, I mean, he's in a wheelchair. Like when he came to do the podcast, he was in a wheelchair.
Crazy.
I mean, he can kind of stand up, but he really can't move around that good. But he's got a fucking amazing attitude, even though that's the case. Like, guys that feel sorry for himself said, I'd do it all over again. I mean, he was one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. But he was different than everybody else in that when Ronnie was at the top of his game, Ronnie was lifting enormous amounts of weight. Like a lot of bodybuilders, they just do very, very high reps and a lot of steroids.
That's when he crunches.
Ronnie was lifting crazy weight, like wild amounts, because he just wanted to be massive, just as massive as a person could be, and he accomplished that. But he paid the price because he would hurt his back and just keep lifting, like go through the set. He wouldn't stop and pause and assess what was wrong with him. And look at him when he was in his prime. Like, good Lord,
man,
good Lord, look at the mass on that man.
The dumbbell's about 15 kilos. The kettlebell's about 20. I'm gonna give it a go.
One of the greatest to ever do it.
Just to see.
Yeah,
so I've been on the 15 for a while.
That Killer
Not a good time to be doing at the end of the set, but
Netflix.
What's that?
I'll
get more data.
That's a woman bodybuilder, right?
Woman bodybuilder, but she was married to this guy Ray McNeil.
I don't know if a kettlebell would be better or a plate would be, but I've tried plates before. It was tough.
Yeah, it's one of these like true crime type situations.
Oh,
it's pretty fascinating. It's just like a 3-part. But yeah, they get pretty heavily into the whole bodybuilding culture and yeah.
That is a thing that happens to a woman when she starts taking steroids, when she gets that manly look in her face that creeps me the fuck out. You know, there's like, go to the original picture that you posted up, Jamie. The original one. No, they're right there. Yeah, look at her face on the left. See how she got like there's like a manliness to her. It's like it's very hard to describe. Like what makes it manly? I don't know. But it's not just that she has giant traps and big fucking shoulders and chest muscles, but it's also like her face has a manly quality. Like the one on the right, that picture on the right where that dude has his arm around her. Look, is that the guy she killed?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, buddy. But look at her face there. She's got like a manly face. That's very manly.
It's super manly, yeah.
Right, there's something that happens.
Dude, she fucking went into the bedroom, fucking came out with a shotgun, fucking smoked the dude, and then went back into the bedroom, got another shell and reloaded it, came out and shot him in the face.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What did he do to her? Was it an abusive relationship?
There was a lot of accusations of
domestic violence.
Thank you, Sleepy.
Well,
Still,
now I know I can do 20
I don't
kilos.
think a lot of people are just.
That'll be 20 kilos next week when I do crunches again.
Questioning whether that was a good call. You know. But,
yeah.
Well,
Well, I think they're probably both out of their fucking minds. If you're doing that much juice, you're getting jacked up, you're probably. I think when.
Alright, that's it for today.
You know, like when the
packing
human
up now. Gonna make lunch.
Taking
if anyone's got any questions, I'd love to answer. Anything about fitness.
Of hormones.
Helps me, really help you, help me sort of thing.
You know, this wild thing. It's like part human, part chemicals.
What's the difference between steroids like that and
whether it be about posture,
TRT?
Well, it depends on how much TRT you take, right?
Any old injuries you might have.
If you're taking normal doses of TRT, then you're just like a normal man. You're just the idea is that as you age and you take TRT, your body repairs itself and functions well, and your immune system functions well, like it did when you were young, and it works. If you don't abuse it. But if you're a crazy person and you say, well, instead of this amount, I'm going to take double. Instead of taking it twice a week, I'm going to take it 3 times a week, double 3 times a week. That's a lot, and people definitely do that. And if you get addicts, and you if an addict, you don't have to go to a clinic to get the shot. You give the shot yourself. You just I'm fucking keep shooting up, and then you go to multiple doctors. Like they don't have a database on whether or not you're on testosterone from this doctor and also from that doctor. Like I knew a dude a pill problem, and what he used to do is he would go to multiple doctors and get opiates. And he was fucked up all the time. And he was mad that these doctors gave it to him. I'm like, bitch, you didn't tell them that you were going to... Take it on yourself, man. Like, you...
Anyway. Yeah. That's it from me today. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the crunches. Thanks for the follows. And those who chatted today. Next time, as usual, will be sometime Wednesday afternoon, Sydney time, then Friday morning. That's how I do my streams. Today's beginner, intermediate, midweek, advanced at the end. Personal opinion, which I find what's easiest, the hardest for me. I just find doing that easier throughout the week. Although in saying that, I did the hardest once on Monday, and it was nice to do the hardest thing first. Chili Silly Willy, thanks for the follow. Thanks for jumping in. I'm just about finishing up. Sorry I had to jump in right at the end. But if you do have any questions, either let me know now or PM me. I'm always happy to answer. Anything fitness, health, or whatever related, I really don't care. I'm always happy to give my opinion. And if I don't know the answer, I'm always happy to research and expand my own knowledge. What else? Oh, cheers, Chili Silly Willy. Thanks for lurking as well. It's always appreciated too. Hope it wasn't too boring just watching me work out and listen to Joe Rogan and Steve-O having a chat with each other. But yeah, do you do anything, any form of exercise or anything like that? Any activity, hobbies even? What was I saying? At the end of the year, 1st of January next year, plan to do an ice tub stream. Nothing special. It's just my first time ever using an ice tub. What I've been doing lately is just taking cold showers. I never really had the means. I don't really have a tub or anything like that to do it, but if you notice in the back of my stream, I do have a tub just for jokes. That's it. My mates are like, Daniel, you should come on, start showing a bit more skin and whatnot if you want to make it up into the world. I'm like, no, that's okay. Well, we'll see what happens. My missus doesn't mind. We brought up the idea with my missus. She didn't say no, so it's a yes. Yeah. Anyway, ice tub stream at the end of the year. Also, because on the 31st, I've got a New Year's Eve party, and very most likely I will be very hungover in the new year. So the ice bath will be the perfect thing to get over my hangover. Anyway, till then, till next time, thanks again for the follow, Chili Silly Willy, and take care of yourself.